Hello and welcome to Dim Society Labs. In this episode, we'll be covering how to sign up for Unreal Engine so that you can get access to development tools. I've opened up the website unrealengine.com. I'm going to skip this Get Started Now and go to Sign In so we can create our account. So down here we can see Sign Up. Sign up with an email. Now I already have an account of my own. In this case, I'm using a burner account that I do not plan on keeping here. I do not want to receive these special offers. I do have to agree to the terms and continue. Okay, it just finally popped up. I guess that just takes a while. So now I have my little account here to start with. And go back to Unreal Engine, get started now. Here you want to pick which type of license you need to use. Both are perfectly fine for learning, but Creative License is currently no royalties to worry about. Even under the publishing one, it's the first $1 million, as you can read here, of revenue is going to be exempt from the royalties, and it's only 5% after that. But for the purpose of this channel, it really doesn't matter which one you pick. I'll just go to the no royalties for now. It's going to download the installer. So now we have our installer downloaded. We can run this. I want this installed my D drive. As for the reason why I chose my D drive is my C drive is a small NVMe drive compared to my D drive, which has a 4 terabyte hard drive in it, regular speed. But that's where I store all my projects. I did take a break and uninstall this just so I could reinstall it in front of the camera. Okay, now that we have our Epic Games launcher here, I'm going to open this up, allow it to access. As for the difference of these two options, the reason public's not recommended is Windows Firewall is designed to restrict as much possible for like when you're at coffee shops, things like that, and you're on the public network. But in this case, if I were, for example, using my laptop to do this on the road, I would still need that through the firewall. Now, one of the first things I do under settings, I actually adjust where my vault cache location is. And I make sure it's on my larger storage drive. So if I installed that C by default, it would also try to put this at C. I also enable debugging right here. Debugging. So now you'll have this extra Unreal Engine tab here that if you had Epic's login before, you might have had the store, library, all that, but now you have this extra tab. And with this extra tab, you'll see you have a nice little dashboard of featured content telling you what's happening. You'll have the learning channel. And some of these content here we'll actually go through together, try to break them down a little bit, make them a little simplified for beginners to understand how things are being done in these. One wonderful thing I love about Unreal Engine is under the marketplace, you have tons of free resources. All kinds of free things here. Now, don't go crazy and get all of them. Some of these things are plugins that's just going to clutter up your system. Discord Messenger, in this case, I don't particularly use it, so I wouldn't want to get that in my cart and add it to my vast library that we'll see later. Most of my library is built off this free content. You'll have things like free for the month. So this month, I believe it's the first Tuesdays of the month, Epic has been giving away free assets. In this case, you see these 5 free assets for this month. I'm now logged in on my profile for this editing touch-up. After you've purchased this for the free for the month, you get to keep it forever. But you do have to purchase it in that month. So if we add something to the cart, you'll see this one is normally $24.99. When we go to checkout here, it'll instantly apply that discount and you pay nothing. Let's get rid of this little message. Place our order. And now that would be in my library as well. They also add permanent free collection stuff on a regular basis, usually monthly. I believe there was one month they didn't. Twinmotion is another thing that they've recently given out for free. They have not promised this to be free forever, so I installed it while I could. And apparently my library added everything from my vault, which had my other profile. I intended only one thing to show up. Yes, my library is kind of big, and as I said, most of this was all free content that they gave out over time. There are some paid content in here, but mostly free. And we need to add an engine version. I've already had a few downloaded. I was hoping this would be cleared. But in this case, I had cleared out 4.25 manually to make sure one was available. So we can install this. There it goes. And I'm going to make sure it's on my D drive for plenty of space. Under downloads to the left here, you can kind of see the progress of it downloading. These are big downloads. Give an example of the old 4.25. Go to properties here. So it might only be 11 gig download, but after decompression it becomes 64 gigs. And believe it or not, this is stripped down. And this is why sometimes we need build from source code so we can have the full feature set. Give you an idea here. I do have same thing built from source. So almost twice as large for from source build. So there were features they had to strip out to make it smaller. And the smaller one is great for plenty of beginners. But when you do things like MMOs, you need to be able to build from source because the server builds has to be built from source. But I still need the stripped down version because the Epic Launcher, when you add, say I want to create a new project here, I have to build it to one of their stripped down versions. And then later I can actually switch it to a source build. But you can't go straight to a source build. Also, when adding things to a project, I can see I don't have any source built versions popped up here. And you can tell the difference in these version numbers. For example, my project kids says other. That's a source built one, and it wasn't in the list to add straight to it. So in that case, I would actually convert this from source built to the stripped down version just to add an asset and then switch it back to source build. So you need both versions, unfortunately. So we can get rid of those windows. I'll show you one more thing. Sometimes when looking at other people's projects, they built them on older versions of engines that aren't compatible with newer versions. So you can see I have some older versions up here. If you need an older version, you can just add here and select which version you need to go down to, all the way to 4.0.2. And then you can install that. I don't actually want to go that far. But there's a basic preview of the initial getting Unreal Engine for Beginners started. So now let's take a break and let this finish. And welcome back. That was a very long download. We have all our tasks finished. We now have the 4.25.4 installed, but it's not fully done yet on installing. So when we launch it, it still has to build up shaders. And this can be a quite taxing progress. Looks like my shaders were already built because it normally would have built shaders at that point.